Hello, it's week 8 of my Human in the Loop experiment. And this week I focused on the second part of the challenge I set to me, which is how would things change within a media business? So I was looking at editorial intelligence and moving from AI generated first drafts. But some of you who have been following this will notice that last week's retrospective had a much different look. And that is as a result of me experimenting with handing over the post-production, while once the retrospective is done and clipped out of my ums and ahs, to just giving it a facelift, for want of a better word. And all of that is entirely handled by AI. And I think it's doing a pretty good job. So those are one of the things which we can hand over to AI. I don't think it means like getting rid of the person who's your video creative. It's about taking their knowledge, their systemizing it, making it systemic and applying it at scale and with consistency. It changes where the value is. Anyway, that's a side note. With the editorial intelligence, one of the big breakthroughs was, rather than trying to get, and I alluded to it in one of my other retrospectives, rather than trying to get AI to write the content for you, it delivers you the content so that you can do the finishing touches and make it valuable. So we've built a AI-assisted video production pipeline. As I mentioned, last week's retrospective was the first trial. This one will be the second, along with some of the other videos. And I know that the level of automation may seem somewhat excessive, but that is the point of this experiment. I need to share the failures, share the successes, and transparently communicate the process to see where this combination of AI with human becomes useful in a small business from a productivity point of view, or a media business from what it is able to create. So to the big win this week, which is the editorial process design. The first article went out. It was an article about Shotstack. The AI generated the first draft. It did a lot of the research on the platform. It did a lot of the due diligence. And what I did was record a video of just the first look of the tool, because I think that is something that will give someone value, because so many tools out there and all of them say, hey, set up a account. And once you've been assessing tools for a long time, you kind of know within a minute or two whether you want to work with these things, because there's so many options out there now. You can be choosy and you can go, right, I feel like this platform. And in the case of Shotstack, what I really like about it, even though it's API driven, it has a visual editor for the template. Because it is a visual medium, it's very hard to visualize something when you're writing bits of code. So it was nice. Go and have a look at that. So as well as that, what I did, and this is something from one of my last retrospective, is each and every piece of content now has a content DNA attached to it, which means every single piece of content has a embedding, and I'll touch on that in some of the other videos, but also what its key theme is, what follow-ups should be, what its performance is, and allowing us to kind of then, when we start getting traffic on that site, we haven't got any yet, start evaluating and seeing whether we can start predicting good content, future content. And this sort of real-time iteration, which, where an editor can go in, this was my piece of content, use its DNA, see what's happening, give me some insight into what worked, what didn't, so that you can then correct it. That used to be something that was the premise of like some very sophisticated platforms in big media companies. And then this is my excitement around AI. The capability that we have at our fingertips now is something we wouldn't have been able to have at this price point, for sure. So some of the other technical infrastructure for all the Spotify podcast episodes are also going into this content DNA snapshot. Let's call it that for consistency. And all of that is completely automatic. So, again, that was probably 4 weeks worth of work, but I can now forget about it. And we've managed to get 8 YouTube pieces in schedule, and all of those, they'll be live by the time you watch this. All of those are little mini learnings of all the mistakes and insights that we've had along the way. So I feel like that might be a useful thing. My MCP server integration, so typing into Claude and it going off and doing actions, is working really well. I've now got 19 of those going. It is literally, to a degree, it's changed my life because I can now go, hey, this research, just turn it into an audio file. This retrospective that we've done, put the notes into a Word document in the format that I like to present on. It is pretty amazing. And I'm going to finish off with what I think is the big question going forward. So just to sort of cap off where we are, as well as all the other things we've done, the big challenge going forward is to refine this ability to create the first part of the content. And I have chosen as my subject of my experiment to create overviews of the tools and platforms that I am assessing as part of this human in the loop experiment. And while it creates the research, it creates the first drafts and so on, a lot of that was initially broken. It was broken because it was doing vanilla. And by adding in context and really sitting down and going, well, where's the value? Where is the value that I can share on a review of, say, Shotstack that helps someone in this world of AI, where you can type in to Perplexity and say, hey, what's Shotstack all about? And you get like 20 pages off the bat. And I think this is where the human in the loop iteration is. I think the value I can give is looking at it and go, how accessible is this tooling for a small to medium business? What value can it help you create? And are you able to activate that value? So all of my reviews are going to start with that. And that is my view. And they're going to be augmented by the research that we can find to hopefully create a valuable piece of content. I am putting on the parking lot the conversation of what does valuable content look like in the world of AI. I think that may be a different recording and not a retrospective, but it's a big question that I want to get closer to answering. I'm not sure I can entirely get there, but I do want to get closer to it. So just to finish off, the big hypothesis starting next week and over the next few weeks is looping in the real-time feedback of likes, comments, and so on, which sounds very obvious, but doing that in such a way that you can start building out almost in real time a shift in content from your starting point. Is that accessible? Is that doable within a short period of time? I believe it is. And the other piece is to continue to put out into production these platform overviews of the tools that I have either tried or looked at. I am sitting with whether I should also share the ones I've discarded. That may also be valuable in itself, but do let me know. Thank you for watching, and thank you for following me on this journey. If you have any comments at all, even if it's things like, Adam, you should try this, or you're reinventing the wheel here, I think you might be wasting your time. All of those comments, they're all valuable. Thank you for leaving. Thank you for following, subscribing, and interacting. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.